So, good morning, everyone. Today we start the revision of the part 2, second chapter, that is pure substances and mixtures. So, is matter under pure basically deals with the different kinds of mixtures. So, here we first discuss about the pure substance and mixtures. Pure substances they consist of a single type of substance, and mixtures they consist of two or different types of substance. Then you have pure substance has its own preferred properties, whereas mixture shows the components, so properties of its various components. Then we have the different types of mixtures. We have homogeneous mixture. Homogeneous mixture means those mixture whose composition is same throughout. Heterogeneous mixtures are those mixture whose composition is not same throughout. Particles of homogeneous mixture can be seen with the naked eye, but particles of heterogeneous mixture cannot be seen with the naked eye. So we are just going through the revision part of chapter number 2, that is matter around us pure. Then after that we have true solution. What is a true solution? A true solution is a homogeneous mixture of two or more components, and a solution has a solvent and a solute as its components. Solute is the thing which is dissolved in a solution, and solvent is the thing in which the solute is dissolved. So the properties of true solutions are: it is a homogeneous mixture, and the particles cannot be seen with the naked eye. The solute particles cannot be separated by filtration, and the particles do not scatter a beam of light passing through it. So true solutions do not scatter light. Point number 1. Point number 2, true solutions the particles are not visible, and point number 3, true solutions are homogeneous in nature. Then we have colloidal solution. So colloidal solution is a heterogeneous mixture of two or more substances. So true solution is a homogeneous mixture, whereas colloidal solution is a heterogeneous mixture. Properties of different colloidal solutions. Colloidal solution is a heterogeneous mixture. Particles cannot be seen by the naked eye. The solute particles cannot be separated by filtration, and the particles scatter a beam of light, the most important one. So true solutions do not scatter a beam of light, but colloidal solutions they scatter a beam of light, which we have already done. Then we have suspension. These are the three properties: solution, colloids, and suspension. Suspension is also a heterogeneous mixture. Example: solution of sand in water or chalk powder in water. Suspension is heterogeneous mixture. Particles can be seen with the naked eye. Solute particles can be separated with filtration, and the particles scatter a beam of light through it, passing through it. So suspension and colloidal solution, to some extent, they scatter the beam of light in it. So this is actually suspension. You can see in the slide. Solute particles can be separated by filtration. Then solute particles settle down after some time at the bottom. For example, if you take sand in water, now if you left it undisturbed, then you will see that the sand is getting settled down. And solute particles scatter light, and the path of the light is visible. You can see if you pass a torch through a suspension, the path of the light you can see. In the two beakers, you can see the path of the light in the left beaker, but in the right beaker you don't see the path. So he scatters light. So colloidal solution also scatter light. Then you have Tyndall effect. What is Tyndall effect? So Tyndall effect is basically the colloidal solution, the colloidal particles where they scatter a beam of light. So Tyndall effect can be seen when light enters a room through a small hole. Some example I have given. Suppose a room is very dark and the light is entering through a very small tiny part. The light is getting scattered by the dust particles, so that is Tyndall effect. And Tyndall effect can be seen in a dense forest due to scattering of light by water droplets. A dense forest example view is given to you, that is Tyndall effect. So basically Tyndall effect means scattering of light in all directions by the dust particles or smoke particles, whatever is present. So this is the diagram which I just showed you, the overall effect of Tyndall effect. Then you have saturated solution, the solution which you dissolve cannot more solute at a particular temperature. And unsaturated solution means you can keep on dissolving solute at a particular temperature. Then you have concentration, as we discussed last time. Concentration is amount of solute divided by amount of solvent, and mass by mass percentage will be mass of solute by mass of solution into 100, and mass by volume will be mass of solute by volume of solution into 100. So I am just going through this chapter as because this chapter will be coming in your term 1 exam. You can go through the recording also, go through this. You can take the screenshot and go through these notes also which I have given. Then you have separating the components of a mixture. So students, this is the most important part of this particular chapter. What techniques you will apply of separating what particular constituents? So you have evaporation, you have centrifugation, you have separating funnel, which is called decantation, you have sublimation, you have centrifugation, you have chromatography, and you have distillation. So evaporation. So evaporation is a method for separating a volatile component from a non-volatile component. A component is volatile from a non-volatile component. For example, ink is a mixture of dye and water, and if some ink is heated in a dish, the water evaporates and the dye is left behind. So evaporation is a very useful technique in separating ink from the dye, because you have water in that, the water evaporates and you get back the dye. Centrifugation, as I already discussed, if you spin, so method of separating the denser particles and lighter particles is called centrifugation. Means when you revolve it, when you centrifuge it, then the more dense particles they remain settled at the bottom, and the less dense particles they go and they above, and you can get the separation. So centrifugation is applied to separate less dense and more dense materials. Then separating funnel, as we already told, this method is used for separating a mixture of immiscible liquids. Means those liquids which do not mix with each other, if you want to separate that, you can have this separation technique. That is called decantation or separating funnel. For example, oil and water, they both are not mixing with each other, so you can separate them along with each other. Then you have sublimation. So sublimation is used to separate the mixture of subliminal components. For example, if you can see the diagram, you have taken ammonium chloride, you have taken china dish, you have taken ammonium chloride vapors. So as you heat, as you know that ammonium chloride is sublimable, so it gets sublimes, it gets transformed from solid state to gaseous state. Then you have to apply chromatography. So chromatography is applied to separate the colored components of a liquid by using a filter paper. So as you can see, a filter paper is used where it is dyed in a particular ink and the various colors are obtained in this filter paper. You can see the effect. So this is called chromatographic. So a black ink can be separated into various other inks with the help of chromatography also. Then you have distillation. Simple. So distillation is used for separating a mixture of miscible liquids. So remember, if you want to separate mixtures of two immiscible liquids, you will be using decantation or separating funnel. But if you want to separate two liquids which are mixable, then you apply distillation. Okay, so distillation first boils the mixture, cools and condenses into vapors. So this is the diagram of distillating outlet. For example, it is simple distillation is used to separate a mixture of two miscible liquids which has a large difference in boiling point. Means you are separating two liquids, but the boiling point is a huge difference. Whereas fractional distillation we use, as I already discussed, fractional distillation we use there where the difference in boiling point is less than 25 Kelvin. So fractional distillation is used for those liquids which are miscible and whose boiling point difference is 25 Kelvin. 25 Kelvin, yeah. So the basic difference between normal distillation and fractional distillation is that in fractional distillation we are using a fractionating column. In fractional distillation we are using a fractionating column for which this particular difference is coming. So separating the components of air, you can separate the air by first compressing and cooling it, and then you can convert it to liquid air. From liquid air you can get gases at different boiling points. For example, oxygen you are getting at minus 183, argon you are getting at minus 196, and nitrogen you are getting at minus 196. Then purification of solids. Crystallization is a process by which you can obtain pure crystals from impure crystals, and crystallization is actually preferred more than evaporation. So you can see in the picture a impure copper sulfate. It's a blue color salt. Then when you crystallize it, you are getting pure copper sulfate crystals from this particular phenomenon. So then again you have types of pure substances. You have elements. Then you have properties of metals. They are malleable, they are ductile, they are good conductors. The non-metals are non-malleable, non-ductile, bad conductors. And metalloid shows the property of both metals and non-metals. And these are the difference between compounds and mixtures. So mixture is composed of two or more compounds, but compound of the same kind of elements. And mixtures, they are in any ratio, but in compound they have a fixed ratio. For example, H2 is a compound. Then mixture, it shows the properties of its own components. So whatever components you are making to make the mixture will show the properties of its own components. Then compound shows the different properties, different components. Then mixtures, very important point, students. Point number 4 is very important. Mixtures can be separated by physical methods, but the components can only be separated by chemical methods. So you can apply physical methods to separate mixtures. So with this, we come to the end of this lecture. Thank you very much, everyone. Please go through this chapter. This chapter will be coming in your term 2. And the most important part is this particular part, the separation technique, sublimation, separating funnel, centrifugation, evaporation. So these are the techniques. This slide is very important. Evaporation for where water is present, centrifugation between less dense and more dense, separating funnel is for two immiscible liquids, sublimation is for those compounds which are sublimable, centrifugation for, as I told you, chromatography for separating the liquids, the color components, and distillation for two miscible liquids, boiling point more than 25 Kelvin, and fractionation for two miscible liquids whose boiling point less than 25 Kelvin. So that's all, students. Thank you very much, and I hope give nicely your exam. Your exams are also coming. All the best. Give your heart. Attempt all the questions. Try to write. Draw margins. Present in a very beautiful manner. All the best. Study hard, and then we'll meet again after puja. So all the best for exam and all the best for vacation also. Thank you very much. God bless you. Have a good day.